The manager of the AL East champion New York Yankees is Joe Girardi. Joe, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Good. Congratulations, Joe. This is one you work for.
Yeah, we really had to work for it. And, in the end, your prediction came true. 94 would have got it done. I think you said that 2 weeks ago, and you were right.
Well, it was. I'll tell you something. It was I'll tell you the difference this year, Joe. I don't know how you feel about it. I know it was a very tough and arduous month for you, but there's years where you take it for granted in the Yankee kingdom about making the playoffs, but this year I feel this team really accomplished something by winning this division in what was a very competitive American League.
I definitely agree. And what we went through the last month of the season, I think it was September 3rd, we were a game up, and we never relinquished the lead. And that's impressive what our guys were able to do, and we had some guys in and out of the lineup, and it seemed as we got healthier, we played better, and we had to win a lot of games in the end.
Big turning point, Joe. Sunday afternoon, you're in Toronto down 4 runs, going out to take Hughes out. The Orioles are already up 4 runs. That was a very big turning point for your team.
I definitely agree. It was one of the few that, big turning points I thought we had in the 2 weeks. But, the last thing is you ever want to do is get behind in a division, and we were able to keep the tie or the lead, and it was within 2 games the whole time, and I thought that was a huge win for us.
Enormous. And then, of course, the other night, in the 9th inning, Ibanez, who has given you so many big hits, but in a game where it looked like having the Orioles win, and then you were down 2 runs, you reach for Ibanez, and again, he comes up with a very big home run.
That's twice in the last 2 homestands he's hit a 2-run homer, basically in the last inning to tie the game, and then he gets the game winner. And he's been so big for us. And he's really swinging the bat well. We got a lot of guys that are swinging the bat well. I mean, when you talk about our role players, that I have some tough decisions to make, on who DHs on certain days, but it's a good thing.
It is. Nunez giving it to you from the left side. You got Ibanez. You got Chavez. You have a much better bench going into the postseason this year than you have had, I think, since you've been Yankee manager. This reminds me more of the mid-'90s bench. You got a lot of good guys on your bench now.
I do, and I have some speed, and I have pinch hitting options. I have defensive options. We do have a lot of good options, and we're going to have to make a roster. We're going to have to try to put the roster together tomorrow. We won't announce it, of course. We got to do that, and it's going to be tough.
It's going to be how much – I know you're not going to give me roster today before you cut it, but how much will it be mitigated by who wins that game? Will that change you dramatically or not really?
I really don't think so, because you look at either team, and both of them have 2 left-handers probably in their rotation and 2 right-handers, so it's probably really not going to change much.
Joe, a couple of guys here down the stretch. One, Ichiro, that when that move's made – people wondered exactly what was left and what his temperament would be. He turned out to be a godsend. He has been just terrific. How about your thoughts about Ichiro down the stretch?
I don't think you could have said it any better. His contributions have been huge. His versatility has been huge, whether it's been in the outfield or where we put him in the lineup. He's been extremely hot in the month of September. And I thought it was really interesting, and I basically talked to him last night as we got late in the game. I mean, he's played every day, and he's 38 years old or 39 years old, whatever he is. And I said, do you want to stay in or do you want to come out? And he wanted to stay in. And I think it's probably, and I didn't ask him why, but I think it's probably because he hasn't been able to celebrate for a while. And that just said a lot to me about how important this month has been for him.
I think he's played with exuberance, and he has showed everybody what a great player he is, and he is an astoundingly talented player, and he still has a lot left, no question. The other guy, and I think he can be a factor going forward, is Lowe. Lowe can do a lot of different things. You went to him Sunday for 5 big outs after Hughes didn't have it. He went to him for the win the other night in a big game. Lowe can be a very valuable guy because he can do a lot of things, plus he's been there and done that.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. And with his sinker, you really believe, knock on wood, that he's going to keep the ball in the ballpark. And you get in a lot of these tight games in the playoff games or what we've been through the last month. That's important, keeping the ball in the ballpark.
No question. And again, very experienced with that sinker. And then I think And it's good to see guys get hot again like Cano has, which is obviously, he's gotten red hot again. But I think we haven't even said it as many, at least I haven't, as many times as we should. This was a remarkable season for Jeter. He was so unbelievably consistent with the bat this year. We know he plays through injuries, but what an amazing season for Jeter.
Oh, I know. They asked me yesterday about him, and I said he exceeded my expectations. Not his average, and not what, in a sense, what he did, but how much he had to play this year. He probably had 700 plate appearances. I think he had the most, maybe in the American League, and that was not my plan going in. I figured I, need to give him a few days off here and there, and we were able to DH him, but we got in a situation where some guys were hurt, and he had to play every day, and we weren't able to rest him in the month of September. But these days off are important. And he had a remarkable season.